Hello everyone, a little while ago I introduced the Wedge Mars Lander in order to better utilize a limited launch volume, in this case about 4.6 meters in diameter, which is very limited indeed, and the purpose of it was to fit inside the space shuttle's cargo bay. And oftentimes when you see a constellation-style Mars lander like this, the central pod is in the shape of a normal pod like Orion or something like that. It's a capsule. But there's no particular reason to make it like that because the atmosphere of Mars is very thin, unless you are intending for it to be able to come back all the way from the surface of Mars to Earth. You don't need it to be capsule-shaped per se. And so I decided it'd be okay if it was this shape. This is the ascent vehicle. The rest of that is the descent vehicle plus space for a rover and additional habitat space, because this wouldn't be enough for them to hang out in for an extended period of time or anything. But this is the ascent vehicle, fairly tight, but it does pose some problems. And if we take a look, oh, I probably have it locked. We have 3,513 meters per second, which is not quite enough. I think I should probably get, oh no, I guess that'll be fine. It's not quite enough to make orbit around Mars on its own. It's got too much thrust to weight ratio, so we could probably lose some of the engines, but too little delta V. So there's plenty of space that I can use to add more fuel to this, and with the thrust weight ratio it's not a big problem to do so, but I just somehow underestimated that. So what I'll do is I'll move these RCS ports a little bit further out, increase the size of the hydrogen tanks a little bit, as well as the oxygen tanks. It is a Hydrolox lander, Hydrolox ascent vehicle, and then that should get it to where it needs to be. So that's the ascent vehicle, and then we have the descent vehicle. And so the descent portion has its own engines, and it also has these extendable plates. There are 4 different animations on the descent portion. So we've got extendable plates that act as landing legs, basically. And we have also the cargo bay ramp. So that's for the rover, and that's the rover bay for you. And then on the opposite side, we have the crew area. And we have the tunnel so that they can get from the ascent vehicle into the crew area. So that's the extendable tunnel there. I haven't put the hatch in yet. I put the physical hatch, but not the way that Kerbals actually get in and out of things hatch. So I'll have to do that. So that's something on the to-do list. And it also has blast doors down here because we need the ascent vehicle engines to be able to blast their way up. Now, I do need to create my own decoupler. I have one of these procedural decouplers here, but it needs a custom decoupler between the ascent vehicle and the descent portion. So I still need to make that as well. But that's how it is. So it's got 4 different animations on it to accommodate things. And one thing I'll have to test is whether the ascent portion can get away cleanly. That's important. But since I plan to increase the size of its tanks, which, as you can see, there's plenty of room for, right? There's room over here and room over here for more tankage. So I will do that, and then I'll test whether it's going to be able to get away cleanly. So we'll extend the tanks like that, and that shouldn't be a problem. Otherwise, the descent portion on its own currently has 467 meters per second for touching down safely, but that's because we've underfueled it to 60%. The max it can do is 759 meters per second. It does have the drogue chutes and main chutes that are hopefully properly configured, and so we can make use of that. So that's all pretty good. The reason I underfueled this is because it makes it easier potentially to launch it. And I didn't think we needed that much delta V for descent. You know, the parachutes do a lot of work, the atmosphere does a lot of work. Hopefully, maybe I'll need to configure these plates as air brakes in order for that to work. I'm not sure. So anyway, pack everything in. and it's back to being like this, but you'll note it's 29 tons. That's when this is underfueled. Now, launching it in the space shuttle, if we want to, we could completely underfuel this, and then after it gets launched, top it up. That'll make it 26 tons. So that does have the fuel in the ascent portion, but none in the descent portion. By the way, the hydrogen here is for the fuel cells. That's how they generate power. I think we could add solar panels as well, but that's a separate thing. I was supposed to put windows on the ascent portion. I'll do that. I might have to add the trivial amount of mass in order to justify that as well. But anyway, let's see how this gets packed into the shuttle. And it is a very tight fit indeed. I think I might have not given the RCS ports here quite enough. I don't know what these things are. That's not part of my model. That's part of the shuttle model. Those little things are currently sort of in the way, but fortunately the RCS ports don't have colliders. I could have made this tighter. In other words, reduce the length of this, because we do have some spare area here. But again, I wanted room to be able to extend the tank. So we'll see how much extra tankage mass I need. And then after I figure that out, then maybe I can move things closer together. But definitely on the back end, the RCS ports don't have enough clearance. They're clipping into the wall there. But can I get it out of the cargo bay, and can the shuttle carry it up when it's 29 tons? I've seen that with the Giulio Dandi shuttle, it can carry a little bit more than the prescribed 26 tons or so. I've locked the tanks here. Let's see if it can manage it. So we get a shuttle launch. Alright, for reasons I don't quite understand, the shuttle isn't quite in the right place. I guess that's in needing of a tweak here for Kerbal constructs, but that just moves the shuttle along for now. Alright, but we are testing something completely different, so let's ignore that. And KOS will run the Giulio Dandi shuttle script. Oh, whenever I mess with Kerbal constructs, it does weird things to the UI. That won't cause any problems for the script though, hopefully. Okay. So it is in the hands of automation. Here we go. Alright, no problems. The clock is wrong because I was moving the pad around. Interesting, it also reads the wrong mission elapsed time here because of that. It doesn't have its own time there. It does here though. So that's different. Alright, lots of cloud layer here. Okay, cut off. And we are free from the external tank. Alright, making orbit here. So it can carry this up. Of course, without the docking port adapter and the airlock that is usually in front. Probably we would have to use Columbia for it if we were going to do this, because Columbia doesn't have those bits. I honestly don't know if it's safe to get this out of here, or if once I release it it'll explode, because it'll be like two vessels clipping into each other or something. We're about to find out. Okay, standard orbit, and let's see. Decoupler. Decouple. Oh, well, it's a little bit jiggly there, but it's just heading out. Right? Alright, well, let's see. Can we do stuff? I didn't like how this was sort of jiggling back and forth, though. Okay, well, we would want to like control from the top. So that part successful. A little bit tenuous, but successful. And then it can do the animations. Again, might have to turn these into full-on air brakes though. Of course, it can't get itself over to Mars like this. It's going to need to dock to some pusher stage in order to push it over. But we can probably use some ion thing for that. And that's not a big problem. I don't know if we want them to travel in this all the way. That would take a separate hab. That's a whole other thing. This needs to be a surface hab. Now, of course, a Mars mission is going to take many different shuttle launches. The question is whether we can put it all together. But the first thing was to be able to have a lander that can work. And we still need to test it in terms of it getting to the Martian surface and then getting into orbit around Mars again. But at least this is a start. At least it fits. Well, more or less. And then I have to make some more room for Delta V, and I will do that. So, development of this continues, but for now, it is promising. So, with that, and well, let's have this image. There we go. With that, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do press like. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time.